Hey guys, Mrs. Sirota here, and we are working on topic 1, lesson 7. So I'd like for you to go in your large workbook, version 1, and rip out page 31. All right, and when you do, come back here to go over the video with me. Again, large workbook, version 1, page 31. You're going to rip it out. Do not cut anything. Do not glue anything. You will be working on the back of this paper, and we are just going to fold it and stick it into our notebook when we're finished. Go ahead and get that now. Pause the video and come on back when you're ready. All right, so topic 1, lesson 7 is all about finding the patterns of these decimals. So I'm going to work on the front side of this. I'm going to work on a portion of the back, and you guys are going to practice on the remainder of this. Wait a minute. All right, so I need to notice patterns in here. And it says, each of these grids is part of a decimal number chart, similar to the one on page 30. Well, if you look in your workbook, you will see on page 30, this is a decimal chart. It is incomplete, and you would have had to have noticed the patterns to fill in the rest of it. This one is a decimal chart that you were supposed to practice on, or if we were in class and working on this page, you would practice this one. And the pink is the pieces that we filled in based on the patterns we saw going across and the patterns we saw going down. This particular lesson is set up a little bit differently because we don't have columns and rows necessarily. We have rows. We have colors. So first of all, I notice I have pink and I notice I have green. I also notice that I'm given all the pink numbers. So part of the pattern is given all pink numbers. Okay, so we have to, we already know all the pink numbers. And it looks like we're going to have to figure out some of these green numbers. So we have to determine what's happening between the pinks and the greens. Describe the pattern for moving from a pink square to a green square. Write the missing numbers. Okay, well, if I'm moving from this pink to this green, I have 55 hundredths going to 66 hundredths. Well, it's going up, but it's not going up far enough for me to multiply, so I think I'm adding. What do I have to add to 55 to get 66? Well, 55 plus 10 gives me 65. Add one more, get 66, so I have to add 11. Well, let's see if that pattern holds true for the rest of this. 75 hundredths to 86 hundredths. What did I have to add to 75 to get to 86? I had to add 11. All right, I'm finding a pattern here. So if the pattern is add 11, we're going to go over to this side and we're going to fill in the missing green pieces. So I have 32 hundredths plus 11. Well, 32 plus 10 is 42, plus one more is 43. So I have 43 hundredths. And then I'm given 52 again. So if I'm adding 11 to 52, that would bring me to 62. If I add 10, add one more, and it would be 63. 63 hundredths. And that is how you would determine a pattern. You're going to have to look at the whole of everything you're doing to try and figure this out. How can you use patterns to find the number that would be in the box below 52 hundredths? Well, each tenth, this is the tenths place, each tenth goes up one, increases by one. Okay, so the 3 turns into a 4, the 4 turns into a 5, the 5 turns into a 6, the 6 turns into a 7. And the hundreds then seem to go up. The 2 went to a 3, the 2 went to a 3, the 5 went to a 6, the 5 went to a 6. So the hundredths, each hundredth increases by 1. So a little addition to that, if we were to figure out what was happening in this box, if we followed the pattern of each tenth increases by 1, we would have 0.8, and then each hundredth increases by 1, it would be 83. Now let's check the pattern. To get from 72 to 83, we would have to add what? 11. All right, that was a lot of information. You might need to pause the video and think about this, or rewind it and watch it one more time before moving on. So, independent practice. I'm going to work on these two with you, and then we're going to do the back side together. All right, Pamela is hiking. When she returns to camp, she passes the mile markers shown at the right. Okay, this is going back to camp. She is going from far away from camp over to camp. Okay, so these are going to get smaller the closer she gets to camp. Explain how you can use structure or patterns to find the decimal numbers that will be shown on the next 4 mile markers. Well, if she is going this way, we know it's going to be getting smaller. All right. So, what's happening here? Well, we're at 2 miles and 7/10 of a mile. 2 miles and 6/10 of a mile. So this is 2 and 5/10 of a mile. 2 and 4/10 of a mile. What do you notice about the numbers? The tenths are going down by 1 digit at a time. So I need to find 4 more. So what would be the next one for this one? It would be 2.2. 2.2 would be the first one. Then we'd have 2.1. See? Because 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's after 1? 0. We would have 2 miles exactly. Now what? Does it just disappear now that we're 2 miles? No. Look at this as a number. It's 20. So what's the next number down? 19. Well, we're breaking these numbers up in ones and tenths. So we would have 1 mile and 9/10 left. So, how can you use structure to find the decimal numbers that will be shown on the next 4 mile markers? Reduce the tenths by 1 at each mile marker. This is the actual answer. This is the work that I did to find the answer, because the question is explain. So I explained we would reduce the tenths by 1 at each mile marker closer to camp. All right. Pamela stops at the 1.8 mile marker. Well, we know that would be the one right after this one, wouldn't it? Right? That would be 1.8, 1.7, and so on. She stops at the 1.8 mile marker. Where will she be if she walks 1/10 of a mile closer to camp? Well, if she starts, or if she stops at 1.8, and we know we're going down to get closer to camp, she would be at 1.7. Okay, she stops at 1.8. If she went 1/10 of a mile closer to camp, or going this way, she would be at 1.7. What if then she went 1 mile towards camp? What if she went 1 mile towards camp? Well, we're here at 1.8, and the ones digit is the mile. Remember, this is 2 miles, 7/10 of a mile. So we would have to remove this 1 mile, and she would be at 0.8. She would be at 0.8 if she walked the whole mile. I'm not going to write out the explanation because I spoke the explanation to you. If you don't understand, I would rewind, look at my video again, maybe even a 3rd time to figure that one out.